reports, and then my colleague Mike Halas, who then asked why it wasn't not an intelligent question, and Fran responding because I said so, and then it becomes a firestorm, and you've got it, it's on everything national, and so it's been just a whirlwind of events here in the last couple of.
I had no clue what I was doing.
We set up the rocket.
Hit ignition.
And
then nothing. Ha 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 ha. Sometimes I laugh when I'm frustrated.
Then out of nowhere, the rocket launched into the air.
The rocket did get into the air.
I've never seen anything fly so high.
And then crashed into a kite. Look out! And then the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Thanks for asking, but I'd rather not send you nude pictures. I'm camera shy. I already said no. Under my clothes, I'm a robot. My webcam is broken. I'm worried they'll get passed around school. I have a rash. I have nudophobia. I have lizard skin. I'm a vampire, so I don't show up in pictures anyways. Your badgering has really killed the mood.
When someone is pressuring you to do something you don't want to, how many ways can you say no before they get the message? Let us know at that'snotcool.com. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Where do you want to eat? I don't know. Where do you want to eat? How annoying is it to begin a night out not knowing where to go? Save time by checking out Omaha.com's food and dining page. World-Herald food critic Sarah Baker Hansen is your local taste tester, reviewing restaurants, telling food stories, and starting debate with her quarterly Food Prowls. Sarah and her foodie crew hit the best joints for burgers, pizza, pork tenderloin, and much more. Check out her blog on omavore.omaha.com.
This is Tom Osborne, co-founder of the Teammates Mentoring Program. As we start the new year with National Mentoring Month, we want to take time to show gratitude to the 7,000-plus mentors that make an impact on the lives of their mentees. Our message in 2015 is one of gratitude. Thank you to all of our mentors that share their time and talent with their mentees, and to all those that support our mission to positively impact the world by inspiring youth to reach their full potential. At Teammates Mentoring Program, our 2015 resolution is to continue our impact by reaching our goal of serving 10,000 youth in 2015. There are young people that are ready to be matched with a mentor today. Help us close the gap. We hope you'll consider becoming a mentor as part of your new year. For more information on how to become a mentor with Teammates Mentoring Program, visit teammates.org. I mentor. Will you?
While you're at work, Fido's working over the house, shredding newspapers and eating pillows. What can you do? Bonjour Dog Daycare could be the answer. With big and little dog play groups, indoor and outdoor play yards, snack time and nap time, dogs leave tired. And a tired dog is a good dog. Call 571-CARE or log on to bonjour.org. Bonjour Dog Daycare, a good day for your dog.
This is the sound of a brand new outdoor grill being hurled off a 20-story building. Now a stylish glass coffee table. An electric guitar. These are the things you could enjoy, all cast into oblivion. Because when you throw away money on wasted electricity, you throw away everything you could have bought with it. Visit EnergySavers.gov and get tips on how to save energy and money. Then do things like switch to Energy Star light bulbs or Energy Star appliances, and you could save hundreds of dollars a year. So this doesn't happen to the recliner you've had your eye on, or this to the treadmill on your wish list, or this to the shiny new bike your kid's been asking for. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
Let's be honest. It costs a bucket load to take the family out on the town at full price. So why the hell are you paying the full freight for a date? Sign up today at dailydealomaha.com for savings of 50 to 90% off regular prices. You can get your eating, shopping, and entertainment game right all while taking it easy on your wallet. Sign up today. Go to dailydealomaha.com and start saving. That's dailydealomaha.com.
When you were a little kid and you thought about what you wanted to be, teaching was at the top of your list. But things changed. And as you got older, teaching didn't seem like the best option anymore. So you're thinking you'll be something else. But what would your 12-year-old self say? Now you want to be a doctor. You don't think teachers save lives? 25 at a time. An actress? Try playing a different role every time the bell rings. How about a scientist? Ever heard of physics? Chemistry? Who do you think teaches that? Teachers today are breaking down obstacles, finding innovative ways to instill old lessons, and taking learning far beyond the four walls of the classroom. It's time to recognize that great things are happening in teaching and put it back on your list. Don't try to convince yourself otherwise. You had it right the first time.
Find out how you can make more at teach.org. Make more. Teach. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
Conversations with Suzanna, broadcasting live on the World-Herald Live app or on omaha.com. Catch her every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, empowering you to look for and accept the good in everything. This is Conversations with Suzanna.
I must tell you, the song we're playing is a song we're not going to have for a front bumper anymore because it's a song about all of us, and we're all the light into the world. And so I want you to understand that what that song is saying is that we are the light of the world, and we are light. It's a wonderful song called I Am Light. And can you remember who it's by, young man?
India Ari.
India Ari. It's beautiful. She has a video, and I send the video out as
Conversations with Suzanna, broadcasting live on the World-Herald Live app or on omaha.com. Catch her every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, empowering you to look for and accept the good in everything. This is Conversations with Suzanna.
I must tell you, the song we're playing is a song we're not going to have for a front bumper anymore because it's a song about all of us, and we're all the light into the world. And so I want you to understand that what that song is saying is that we are the light of the world, and we are light. It's a wonderful song called I Am Light. And can you remember who it's by, young man?
India Arie.
India Arie. It's beautiful. She has a video, and I send the video out as a birthday gift. And it says, I am light. We all need to understand we're the light into the world. This is Conversations with Suzanna. I'm so glad you're here. It's on the World-Herald Live app. You just download us. We're going to be here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And we're going to be talking about what you want to know about. We're going to be entertaining. We're going to be informative. And we're going to make you look very smart around the cooler. Oh, yeah. You're going to look hot around the cooler. You're going to have information that you didn't have before. And you can bring it up and look smart at a dinner table, wherever. This show is about you and what you need to hear. It's about you and what you need to know. It's about you and making you more empowered each day as we go along. Yes, it's on the app. And yes, you can find us at omaha.com/Suzanna. Or you can just do the World-Herald Live app. Now, you get a real in-touch radio here because you can call in. The number is 402-255-2000. And that you can text the studio. Text the studio anytime you want. The text I'll read all the time and I'll talk about them. You can text me at 402-403-3737. Again, the number to text the studio is 402-403-3737. The phone number is 402-255-2000. Now here's the scoop. Right now, we're not going to take calls or look into your future. What we're going to do is look into the future of the Durham Museum. Ooh. Yay. And if you're on and you're seeing the video, you see two beautiful women in the studio with me. First, I want to introduce you to Jessica.
Hello.
Hello, Jessica.
Hello.
Thank you for being in the studio.
Thank you for having me.
2 questions.
Okay.
First question is, how long have you been the Director of Marketing and Public Relations?
Well, I'm kind of the newbie at the museum. I started as the Director of Marketing in October. Okay. So just about 5 months I've been there. Okay. And yeah, it's been great so far.
And where were you before the 5 months?
I worked the past 10 years at UNMC. In the public relations department here.
So you're a public girl.
I am.
You're a public girl. And it's all about getting words out about what's wonderful, isn't it?
Exactly. 2 wonderful organizations I've worked for, so I've been blessed.
Marvelous. And in all honesty, have you done the tour of the Durham Museum?
Oh, absolutely.
So have I! I just wanted to I didn't know how I could bring that up. Okay?
Yeah! I figured if I'm going to, talk about it all the time, I had to do the tour and know everything.
Oh my God, how massive that is.
Yeah, it's amazing.
How many floors are there?
6. There's
6?
Yeah, but not all of those are open to the public.
Oh, thank God, because I think I did 2.
That's probably right, yeah.
Is 2 open to the public?
Yeah.
But there's 6 floors.
Yeah. We have some offices on different floors.
Okay.
And then the basement, which is kind of off limits.
Okay.
But,
But what I brought someone from England. England visitor came. Had to take him to the museum.
Good.
Had to take him to the museum because it's
a must-see.
A must-see. Are you the one, but I have Carrie here. Mm-hmm. Now, Carrie, what is your job?
I am the curator of exhibits and collections at the museum.
What is a curator? Because I'm not sure, and I'm...
Basically, I get to be a professional nerd, and I love every minute of it.
What does that mean? I love nerds. Go ahead.
I get to deal with all of the artifacts, all of the content for the exhibitions, all of the research and the writing and the factoids that people want to know about, those types of things.
And how far in advance do you plan your exhibits?
We're working on 2017 right now.
Wow.
So 2 years out, all of our traveling exhibits, internal exhibits, community partnerships, as far as displays and things, 2 years out.
2 years
at least.
out. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, some exhibits will take up to 10 years to develop from some of our partners. They've been in development for 10 years and then we finally get them. So
what kind of partners? Tell me what
Well,
that
like
means.
the Library of Congress, we had an exhibition come from them a couple years ago called With Malice Toward None, and that took 10 years of development with their staff before it came to us at the museum.
Wow. So when you're the curator, do you say what you want in the museum? Is that what you do? Or?
Yes. We look at the exhibits and the stories, how they apply to Omaha's history. We also talk about the collection, and people have things they want to donate. They call us and say, do you want this for our collection? And we have a whole process we go through is whether we're going to bring that object in the museum or we're going to suggest another institution that it could go to. Those types of things all come through my department.
Marvelous.
She's super smart.
You both are. Let's wait. We all three are. But let's just talk. The question is, what was the Durham Museum before it was the Durham Museum? That's the big thing.
We were Union Pacific's depot here in Omaha. It was the second Union Station on that site. It was built in 1931 by Gilbert Stanley Underwood, and UP spent $3.5 million to put that up in 1931 in the middle of the Depression. So
$3.2 million. Oh my God! How wonderful.
Yes. It was.
Well, back then, you think about what $3.2 million was.
It's amazing. Yes. Okay. So it was put up then. Mm-hmm. Okay. And it was a depot.
Yes, up until 1971.
Can you tell me how many went through that depot?
At the height of its use, up to 10,000 people a day went through the depot.
10,000 people a day?
Yes, during World War II.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Now, that's totally exciting. I've done some research. I want to find it on my pad, but I've done some research. Did you know the first train was in 600 BC? Just a little side effect.
No, I did not.
I thought I would bring something to the show that would inspire the heck out of you girls. But here's my question. The question is, how was the train come up? What did it take to bring the train to the Midwest? Because that's, I was looking up the history of trains and it was just amazing. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, the Transcontinental Railroad is what brought the railroad west. That was the connecting the both coasts. So West Coast and East Coast. The railroad was very established on the East Coast, and Abraham Lincoln said, we're going to connect the two coasts. And that was the Pacific Railway Act in 1862. And that developed the Union Pacific Company, and that came right through Omaha. And Council Bluffs was already established on the eastern side of the river, and they knew back in the 1850s, everybody knew there was going to be a transcontinental railroad at some point because the western expansion was just going so big. And they decided, let's establish a sister city on the other side of the river, and then we have a better shot of getting that transcontinental railroad through here. And that worked out.
Oh my God! Mm-hmm. How cute! So they were sort of
they're thinking ahead.
How to plan
forward thinkers.
How to bid for
absolutely
the train. Now the train was done by who?
Abraham Lincoln. He signed the Pacific Railway Act, and that started the Union Pacific Railway Company.
Isn't that exciting?
On President's Day. We talk about
Abraham Lincoln on President's Day.
I looked up presidents. Okay.
Uh-oh. Oh, dear.
Guess who was the tallest president in the U.S. history?
I'm going to guess Lincoln.
Isn't it nice how everything
Symmetry.
sort of flows?
Symmetry, yeah.
It all flows together.
We planned that.
We all sound really great. Did I miss a break? No, I didn't. Okay. I'm just trying to stay on top of it. So the train was brought through. How long did it take to bring the train through the Midwest from coast to coast? Do you know?
Well, they started construction in 1863, and they finished construction in 1869. So 6 years.
Really?
They started on both coasts, and it's where they met up in Promontory Point.
The Golden Spike.
The Golden Spike. Mm-hmm.
It is where?
It's in Utah, Promontory Point, Utah.
Mm-hmm.
The Golden Spike is in Utah. That's exciting.
Well, really, they put the Golden Spike in, and they did the whole ceremonial hitting the spike in, and they pulled it out and put the real ones in there. So that there's not a real golden spike out there. No treasure hunters.
There would be somebody saying,
it would have been gone.
Check out that Golden Spike. So it took probably, again, it took a lot of time to get it. 6 years?
6 years, yes.
So how many people? What is that?
Oh, goodness. Well, I know on the eastern side, for the UP side, it took 3,000 workers to go across to Utah. But on the western side, it took considerable more because they had to go through the Rockies. So that was 10,000 predominantly Chinese immigrants that were building the railroad. Mm-hmm.
10,000 Chinese immigrants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting. The question I have, and boy, someone's got to teach me about UPads, because I can't find the great thing I had about the history that said it started in 600 BC. I was just so excited.
I'll take your word for it.
And it started in Egypt. Just let you know that. Okay. I was doing research. I really had it all down, but apparently...
One of your listeners could find it for you and call you.
Yeah, that would be really
Somebody out there Google it for you.
Oh, I could Google. This thing is just incredible. By the way, did you know who invented the train?
I have no idea.
No, I don't.
Well, let me just tell you. I just found that out. God, is this not technology? Just amazing.
Oh, yeah.
You want to find anything and you'll find it.
Anything you want.
I ask Siri things and she says, really? You really need to know that. The train was invented by Richard Trevithick. Oh, well, I just crucified him. He's not going to talk to me anymore. But it's so exciting that the train actually is such a big financial boost to the economy.
Oh, yes.
Can you speak to that a little bit?
Well, I know when the railroad was coming through, I mean, obviously the railroad was bringing towns with it. And they would set up points, along the way as they were using sort of like jumping off points for the materials. And those usually became communities in those areas. The railroad would buy up a lot of land, government land and that kind of thing. So that's my limited knowledge on the economic boost.
And when they went through the Rockies and things, just the design of a train to go, because they had
can you imagine?
They had to blow through mountains, right?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, my husband and I were just skiing a couple weekends ago, and it's still like, you think about it as you're driving through that someone actually had to create railways and underpasses and roads that go through mountains. Back in the day when equipment was, think about what they were using. It
was very dangerous
to think about.
A lot of people
died
I'm
sure, very
on
dangerous.
that side.
Marvelous. Well, no, I didn't mean marvelous.
Yeah.
Marvelous that we know that and we can honor them.
Honor their sacrifice.
So how many went through from the conception? How long was it a train station, the Durham?
The current station was open from 1931 to 1971, and that's when passenger travel went to Amtrak. All the railroads stopped passenger travel, and Amtrak became the only passenger railway. Before that, though, we've had passengers coming through that location since 1899. That was the first Union station from 1899 to 1929, razed to the ground, and then the current station was built on the bedrock of that old station.
And so when the station... How many would you have a number of how many went through there? Or?
Oh my goodness, I'd have to do math.
Okay,
and that's a very scary proposition.
Me too. We don't even need to go there. But we're talking that it was actually in one day 10,000.
Yeah, one day, and that was during World War II.
We're talking 40 years or 20 years.
We're talking 40 years.
We're so good at math.
Yes,
40 years at the current station.
Yes, and 10,000 was its peak. So it worked up to that, and then it declined from that.
Amazing. So how did we transfer into making it a museum? And what was the concept of the museum?
Well, the museum, once the station was closed, it stayed vacant for 2 years. 1973 comes around, and it's not in the greatest shape. It hasn't been really taken care of. And there's a group of concerned people in the community that form the Western Heritage Society, and they want to turn it into a museum. And so Union Pacific gifts the museum to the city of Omaha, and this group of volunteers works with the city to develop a museum out of that. It was a long, hard journey, and started off with just a couple little artifacts, open 1 to 5 on Sundays, and that was our humble beginnings. Volunteer run, just a lot of really passionate people that wanted to save that building, and it has grown and grown with the philanthropy from the community support, and we've grown into the institution we are today.
The volunteers are a big part of this.
Oh, yes.
This huge. How many volunteers do we have, and how do we get to volunteer? What do we do? Because do we need to know about trains before we volunteer?
No, absolutely not.
We do need to know about soda fountains. I love the soda fountain.
You can volunteer in the soda fountain.
Where did the soda fountain come about? How did that come about?
That was original to the station. So that was one of the 3 eateries. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's still there in its form it was back in the day, so.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they serve original phosphates and
they mix
floats. They mix them by hand.
I've seen that. That's just totally incredible.
Yeah.
But that was original.
Yes.
There were 3 restaurants in the,
Yes, there was the counter for the soda fountain, there was an a la carte lunch counter, and then also a formal dining room. And both of those were in the Swanson Gallery, what today is the Swanson Gallery. It was divided down the middle, and the counters were on one side, and the formal dining was on the other side.
Wow.
Yeah. It was really like a occasion to travel, like if you think about how grand the building is and people traveling on the trains, like people got dressed up and they went to dinners and, it was fancy.
Okay, we're going to take a little break. I just want everyone to know I'm keeping these ladies here. We're going to be talking to Jessica Brumers, who is the Director of Marketing and Public Relationships, and Carrie Meyer. I like that name, Meyer, who is also our curator of the Durham Museum. We're going to be... You are exactly where you need to be. This is Conversations with Suzanna. We're located on the World-Herald app. Yes, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday you're going to hear from us. Wednesday, we're going to talk beauty. Ooh, we'll talk about that. Friday's still up in the air, but we'll talk about that later. To call into the studio, you can dial 402-255-2000. Again, the number is 402-255-2000. And to text the studio, if there's any information you have about math, or if you have about the railroad, preferably the railroad, I'd love you to text us at 402-403-3737. We handle both math, railroad, anything you know right now. We're a full service station, by golly. We're going to cover what you want to hear, what you want to talk about. And it's about enjoying life and doing things that you love. And I certainly love empowering you and empowering me with more knowledge. And speaking of knowledge, these girls during after the little transition time showed me where my history was on my iPod. I feel so powerful
We might not
now.
know math, but we know technology.
I feel so darn empowered. And the first railway was 600 BC. Isn't that American? And it was called the Rutway. So that's a whole another thing. It was in Greek and Roman times, and it was a rut. I think that was exciting. But history and trains have been a part of everybody's life, and it is a part of financial abundance with a life. If you're in New York, and I used to do New York radio, you had to have that subway. You wouldn't drive in town because it's crazy, and the subway and the here in it's just amazing how much there is that we do in trains. If you go to a third world country, which I have, I went on a overnight train. Really? And the overnight train handed you a soap and a washcloth.
Oh my.
But it was in Europe, and they weren't always the best smelling.
Gotcha.
Okay. So,
understand.
And upper bunk, so that's the whole thing. But railroad is really very big for commerce.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
It makes really huge commerce. So, in your opinion, what do you think when someone who's new to this area comes to the Durham Museum, what do they learn about the history and the power of railroad? Take it away.
Well, the entire permanent side of the museum, all of our permanent exhibitions, educate on the history of Omaha, which is completely linked with the history of the railroad. And like, as we were saying before the break, that's why our city was established, was so that that transcontinental railroad would come through Council Bluffs, Omaha, and so that it would go west from here.
I'm amazed that it started with Council Bluffs and they asked Omaha they created Omaha to have Is that how the town grew up?
Actually, I have a piece in the Byron Reed collection that is the Omaha Arrow. It's the very first newspaper printed about Omaha. It was made in Council Bluffs, 12 issues, and its whole purpose was to get people to move from the Council Bluffs side of the river to found Omaha over here on the other side. And they were, it's quite a funny thing when you read through it, because it's very flowery language and, it's going to be great. And it's so pastoral over there and it's wonderful. Think about what it could be. Don't think about what it is now. Like that kind of stuff. And so they got people to move across the river, with that. So that they started getting some settlements on this side of the river instead of just everything.
And
on
that's
the east.
all to bring the train.
All to found the city and bring the train through.
How frickin' exciting!
It is amazing.
So there's a permanent part of the museum.
Yes, there are several.
And how big would you say the permanent part is?
It's half of our, at least maybe a little over half of our exhibition space in the lower level. So we have our permanent trackside exhibitions, which is all the train cars, the engine, the caboose, streetcar, some of our other, motorized vehicles, things like that. And then we have Scout, our buffalo, who's our kind of informal mascot. And then to the right of Scout, all the rest of that is all permanent collection about the history of Omaha, the founders of the city, the eras of development that we've gone through, things that have happened here. All of that stuff is on that side.
Well, that is intriguing. So the permanent part, what piece or what part do you, who's the buffalo? Talk to me about him. How do you get in the train? Let's talk about it. Although trains did do livestock.
Sure. Yes.
Food.
Yep.
Everything. So who is this buffalo and how to get there and what's he about?
This whole area was buffalo country. It was millions of buffalo roamed here, before there were settlements coming through. And so people are just fascinated by this almost, driven to extinction animal. And so we actually had, a donor, there's herds that are all across the upper plains that, are cultivated for conservation, and then they, routinely will go through and sort of thin the herds. But then that's where Scout came from. He was actually from a farm, and, he was, brought to the museum, taxidermied, and he's on display now. So everybody can see the buffalo up close and personal. And then we have a little fur that's actually a buffalo fur that they can touch to feel what a buffalo feels like. So when you go to the wildlife safari and you can't touch them, you can come to the Durham. You can touch a buffalo skin.
And what I loved about the Durham is you got to sit in the cars.
Yes, you can sit in the cars too.
So they were not comfortable.
Probably not, but not any worse than traveling by airline today, probably.
Very true. More legroom.
Yeah. So when people traveled by the cars, they had all their parcels and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So was there a car just for the parcels and everything? Or?
Oh yeah, there were mail cars, there were freight cars, but people didn't travel with as much luggage necessarily as we do today.
People didn't have as many things.
Yeah, it was a little
we kind
bit
of hoard
time.
all of our stuff.
We are hoarders.
Yeah.
We are hoarders.
Yeah. So there was places for your baggage. There were porters to help you in the station. There were red caps to help you carry your baggage to and from, and baggage check counters just like we have today in the airports. A little less automated, but, at the Union Station, there was a connector between Burlington and Union Stations. And so you could actually change railroads without ever having to go outside.
Really?
So.
Wonderful. If for you, coming to the museum, tell me what is your favorite exhibit? By the way, is the buffalo your favorite exhibit there? I'm permanent.
I'm partial
permanent.
to
It seemed like you were in love with that buffalo.
I do love Scout. I do love Scout. I would say my favorite is the Byron Reed collection.
And that's the permanent.
That's permanent.
What is the Byron Reed
That's
collection?
the rare coins, documents, and books. And I absolutely love that whole collection. I love the exhibit and then all the stuff I get to play with in the back room. All the coins, the documents, everything from as early as 525 BC up through 1890 AD.
And what would you have from 525 BC?
It's a coin from ancient Greece. And
that's where they had the first railroad.
Yes, there you go. Symmetry.
The symmetry, the synchronicity of life. Yes. So we have that. So that is your favorite.
Yes.
Permanent.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to talk temporary when we come back. But first, we're going to talk to the female, Maya, whose number you have to get from me, that is going to be telling us about, are you ready?
Mm-hmm. Math?
No. Oh. The big boy. Do you know what the big boy is?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, because we're all about railroads today. Yeah. Now, what is your favorite permanent exhibit?
For me, I guess, I always like to see people's reaction when they step into the museum because
you're a people watcher.
Yeah, I'm a people watcher, and I love to see the kids on the train cars. I think kids will always love trains, even if they never experienced riding on a train or have only seen one go by. If you see the kids down at the museum that get to actually get on a train car and experience it, there's just like a joy in their face that I just love to see. So.
Marvelous. So you like to watch the trains.
And I love walking into the Great Hall.
Oh, the Great Hall.
The Great Hall.
Oh, Great Hall? Wait.
Yes.
We don't have time to talk the Great Hall.
Oh!
All right, we're going to talk about the big train.
Okay,
next.
okay.
Okay. And then we'll talk to Maya at the big Lawrence Gardens, who has the big train.
Yeah.
What is the big train called?
It's the Big Boy.
The Big Boy.
Appropriately named.
Appropriately named the Big Boy. So we're going to talk to Maya at Lawrence Garden about the Big Boy, and then we'll come back and talk about the temporary and how to volunteer. I mean, I think that would be I would love to be a tour guide.
Oh, we'd love to have you.
I would. Oh, this sounds like a lot of fun. This is Conversations with Suzanna on the World-Herald Live app. You download us, you find us. We're 24/7. You can come back and listen to the fun we're having in the studio today with these two fine women from Durham Museum. This is Jessica over here, and this is Carrie. Jessica is the one who handles all the media, which you handled me.
I did.
Very
you were
well.
So difficult.
Yeah, and that's what my husband says, as a matter of fact. And then we talk to Carrie, who is the curator. We will be right back. This is Conversations with Suzanna live on the World-Herald app. Yes, you are exactly where you need to be. This is Conversations with Suzanna on the World-Herald app. Yes, very easy to find me. You go to omaha.com/Suzanna, or you just download the app. Put it in your pocket, go everywhere. You will look like a genius with the information you get here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And here's the exciting part. We're coming to you live with two beautiful women in the studio. These women we're talking heritage. We're talking the heritage of the area. We're talking the tradition of the railroad. Durham Museum curator is here, Carrie, and Jessica, who is in charge of letting us know what's happening. Our time is getting so short. We're having so much fun. This is pathetic. We're not getting all the information out. And today's President's Day.
It is.
So I wanted to cut it up with some presidents, and then here she goes, the curator.
I know.
I mean, she's
showing
just
off
a
all
little
of her wisdom.
little bit of it. What kind of grades did you get, by the way?
Well, I got A's, B's, and C's.
I bet you did.
I did get C's.
Bet you did. Don't be proud of it. I got A's and B's because I bet you're a good learner. All right, we already talked to the tallest president.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
And that was who?
Abraham Lincoln.
Did you know there were presidents who were considered 18 of them who were never in the Congress? I think that's what's going to be happening this time. The 18 presidents who weren't in the Congress were Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Taylor, Grant, Arthur, Cleveland, T. Roosevelt, Taft, Wilson, Coolidge, Hoover, Roosevelt, Eisenhower, Carter, Reagan, Clinton, and Bush. Now, we go back to the railroad.
Yes.
You tell me that there's something very cute on the railroad, and most of the presidents used the railroad, didn't they, to pass their words and do train stops? I mean, I saw it on Gunsmoke the other day. So tell me about who rode and what do you have in the museum about the presidents?
Well, we have in our photo archive images of many presidents using the railroad coming through the station. It was all saved with our pictures of Omaha, really. And the earliest one that I can think off the top of my head is Taft. William Howard Taft came through the Union Station, and it was in an open carriage coming out from the station. This is the station before our current one. This is the 1899 station.
Okay.
So he came through here. Many of them campaigned. We were talking about Truman. Yeah, Truman on the Whistle Stop tours, coming through the station. So Wilson did it. Everybody before really cars and planes was using the railroad.
Air Force. They have Air Force One now. Back then it was presidential train cars.
Cars,
Mm-hmm.
And I think the train rides are so romantic. I think I'm wanting to do one. Hint, husband, if you're listening. Birthday, end of March. All right, let's go through this. This is just a phenomenal way to be engaged in the city. Mm-hmm. If you're new to town, to volunteer, tell me about the volunteering. How do we get the volunteers? How do we volunteer at Durham?
Well, anyone can volunteer, and we're always looking for people. And I would just say that even if you don't have an interest in history or trains, there are tons of opportunities to get involved. So we look for volunteers for our gift shop. We look for volunteers for our old-fashioned soda fountain.
Oh, that's such a fun place.
I know.
I know people who have been proposed to there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Had their first date there. Oh, yeah.
Lots of those. Lots of weddings.
Yeah.
We have lots of volunteers that work with the children, so the student groups that come in on educational tours and those types of things, if you like to work with kids. So,
at what age? What age can I volunteer, and what is the number?
Any age, I think you can volunteer. As we have young high school age students that volunteer.
High school, not like 9, 10. High school.
Yeah, probably
high
not.
School.
I would say high school age, all the way up to, I don't know, I think our oldest volunteer is in their 90s.
Yeah,
so
we don't have an upper cutoff.
We have no bias.
I tell you what, the older we get, the better we are. It's
incredible. And a lot of them have memories of experiencing Union Station when it was a train station, so they have so much history to share with the guests that they're wonderful to have as volunteers.
Or in the collection, if you want to volunteer in the collection and cataloging and photographs and objects.
Marvelous.
Yeah, if you like looking through all those old items.
Okay, we're going to have you two ladies back because you've been so fun.
But come back anytime.
I want to talk right now. What do we have going on? We have Katharine Hepburn. Well, she was the woman who brought on woman.
Yeah. Yes,
I mean, she didn't live by anybody else's rules.
No, that was one of her famous quotes. If you obey all the rules, you miss all the fun, which I love that.
Isn't that interesting?
And another one is be yourself. It's a tough act to follow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right. Say that one more time.
Be yourself. It's a tough act to follow.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a fascinating, we've learned so much. I know I have learned so much about Katharine Hepburn since we got the exhibit a week ago, and it's a beautiful collection of her costuming from both stage and screen that she kept in her personal closet. So it were things that meant something to her from all of her Hollywood days, and it paints a beautiful picture. The exhibits teams did a great job. The costumes kind of sit in front of a still photograph of her actually wearing the piece, wonderful. And then it tells the story about that movie or that production that she was in. She had a fascinating life and really was a rule breaker for her time.
She was the first libber.
Yeah,
yes, she was.
I mean, she's a woman's lib brought it on because of her courage.
Well, her mother was very, very influential in women's suffrage.
Really?
And her dad was a very liberal physician, and I think in a time where a lot of things weren't acceptable, they were talking about it.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I am so glad you ladies have joined me. What a fun hour this has been.
Thank you for having us.
Please note that if you want to rehear this, you go to Suzanna, Omaha. Where do they go, Chad? Where do they go, Chad?
Omaha.com/Suzanna.
Okay, by the way, did you have trains when you were growing up?
I don't know that I was a huge train fan, but my grandpa does model trains, and he's done it like all his life in Minnesota.
Nice.
And my nephew is a huge fan of trains.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Nice.
And what is the train that the kids watch now with the blue engine?
Thomas
the train. So trains play an important life in all of our lives.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. Please come back on Wednesday. Wednesday, we're going to talk about beauty and how Omaha has made a world mark on the stage with the Omaha Fashion Week. We'll be back. This is Live with Conversations with Suzanna here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You can't believe what we're going to be talking about. We're going to make you better every single day. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned. We're right here, right again. God bless. exactly where you need to be. This is Conversations Live with Conversations with Suzanna. Live here in the studio at the World-Herald Live. I have the wrong thing on my phone. I mean, this is really what we call live radio, guys. Conversations with Suzanna is heard every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You download the app, you can put it in your pocket, listen to me. Nobody needs to know. It's our secret. And then when you're by the water cooler, you can look very smart. Very smart. We're giving you information that will take you through the day, take you through the, sort of empower you, let you know more. When you're at the dinner table tonight, you're going to be saying, you know what I heard today? We had how many thousand in one day through the railroad in Omaha?
10,000 people.
10,000 people in one day. I mean, your children are going to be amazed at how much knowledge you have. Please feel free to give us a call in the studio. The number is 402-255-2000. The text us if you want. You can ask any question you want. We'll get to you before the day's out. The number is 402-403-3737. And as we are waiting for a call from Mia. And Jessica, the problem was you were asking why she was called Mia when it's spelled Maya.
You were asking. No, I said I bet she probably gets that a lot.
Yeah. So we're waiting for the call from Maya, who is, where is she? Tell us about her, Jessica.
She is my counterpart, Director of Marketing at Lauritzen Gardens.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And she is going to tell us about who?
The big boy.
The big boy. And I must tell you today, I'm looking up railroads, doing that little research that you all heard so much and now that I know how to find it look at all these apps open. No wonder I can't find it. But finding all these things, I went under, what is the name of the park?
Kennefic Park.
Kennefic Park. I had never heard of it. Uh-huh. I did not know about it. So I went under Kennefic Park. And there's a guy who's on the Yellow Pages who is saying, my God, you should see what they have there. So we're going to bring Maya onto the phone. Hello? Is she here? Yep, she's here. Hello, Maya.
Hello.
Thank you for getting to us today. And what I really appreciate is I called you this morning and you came back to me. I am so grateful because all of the Yellow Pages story about your big boy. Tell us a little bit about trains and your place.
Well, we kind of joke that botanical meets mechanical at Lauritzen Gardens. So we not only have, the public garden and showcase all of the wonders of the plant world for our region to see. We're also fortunate to have Kennefic Park at the southwest point of our property, which is highly visible to the passersby on Interstate 80, and it's really become one of the, welcome points for motorists when they come into Nebraska. And it's also accessible from our parking lot, so people do get to go up and see kind of two of the greatest locomotives ever to power Union Pacific Railroad, and that's Big Boy, number 4023, as you mentioned, and then which is one of the world's largest steam locomotives, and then Centennial, number 6900, which is one of the largest and most powerful diesel-electric locomotives that were ever to run the rails.
Now, when people come to your park, can they go into the locomotives, or do they just look at them?
They are just available for looking. You can get closer to Big Boy, but they are not open as some of the cars are at the Durham Museum. But the park is open to the public with no admission. You can park for free at the garden, and sidewalks and staircases lead visitors from the parking lot up to the park. It does also include some great limestone walls and native plantings that kind of make it flow seamlessly with the garden areas, and also gives our visitors some of the railroad history, since our region has such a rich railroad heritage. But we do get people from all over the world to come just for a chance to see, in particular, Big Boy, just because there are so few of them on display.
And I went to on your page, or I don't think I'm at your page. I went to Kenneth Park, and I just got to tell you what this guy says. Here is what you get. First, the Big Boy, one of the biggest, baddest, highest horsepower steam engines ever made. It's a 4884, folks. What does that mean?
I am honestly not a foamer, but so I know it is such an impressive train. I don't know what the 4844 means. I know that 4023 is the number of ours. It was built in November of 1944, and that locomotives 4,000 through 4,019 were built in 1941, and then 4,020 to 24 were built in 1944. But I'm not sure what the numbers that you gave.
I think those are the wheels. So like there's 4 in the back, 8 in the middle, 4 and 4. So it's like how the wheels are laid out.
Our brilliant producer is saying yes and bouncing. Boy, we're brilliant.
Good job, Carrie.
This is why she's called the curator.
Right, that's what it is.
I mean, this is all about it.
I didn't know that.
Maya, thank you for taking your time and telling it. But the attractions are free, correct?
At Kenneth Park, admission is free.
Okay.
If people wanted to pay admission to see the garden areas, that is $10 for adults and $5 for children, and that would include the Model Railroad Garden that's open from April through October, which is another train-themed exhibit.
What is the Modern Railroad? What is that exhibit?
That is actually, it's one of our most popular attractions in the summertime at the garden, and it features 7 model train lines. They're G-scale garden trains that continuously travel through a miniature community of kind of countryside and landscapes, a miniature garden of sorts. It was crafted by Paul Busey and his group at Applied Imagination Studios, and there are buildings that represent some of Omaha's great landmarks, like Union Station / the Durham Museum, the Desert Dome at the zoo, our visitor center, and some old market buildings and other more prominent establishments.
And that's between the flowers and everything?
It is. It's incorporated into a garden on a hillside, so it creates kind of a little mini community with there's a dwarf or miniature plantings that complement the buildings, and the trains are all different lines, like a passenger line, freight line, a Big Boy line, but they're garden scale trains that run throughout the late spring and summer months at the garden in our growing season.
Well,
when it's very weather dependent. So that is indoors, and then Kenneth Park is accessible from our parking lot with no fee. And then we celebrate with the Durham Museum during Railroad Days, which is kind of our annual celebration of all train and track each summer.
Okay, and Chad's in the other room. You don't see my sweet producer in the other room. He's bouncing his head. Yes, Railroad Days. So thank you for coming on air with us.
No problem.
You were a blessing to change your appointment and help us understand who this Big Boy is. And just for you folks, my God, it's a 4884, and that is what George W. says. So that's pretty exciting. Thank you again for being on air. So
no problem.
The Railroad Days, before we let her go, when is we let her go. We let her go. That's all right. Chad's going, oh my God, you told me, So when is the Railroad Days?
It's in July.
It's in July. Mm-hmm. Do you
I think it's July 11th and 12th this year. Does that sound right?
Yes, I think.
Okay.
Yep.
And that coincides with you and the parks. You two get together and do some magic?
Yeah, it's you buy a pass and you can come to the Durham, to Lauritsen Gardens, to the Dodge House and the Union Pacific Museum. And it's kind of just
Rails West.
Oh yeah, Rails West.
Marvelous.
And just a celebration of the railroad for that weekend, and there's different programming at each of the locations.
And we're celebrating the railroad. We will be right back. This is Conversations with Suzanna. We're heard live on the World-Herald live app, ouromaha.com/Suzanna. You can listen to this interview later if you want and pass it around because we're learning a lot. Our curator is really a curator. I mean, she knows her stuff.
She does.
Yes. So we'll be right back. Conversations with Suzanna. Stay tuned. We've got more fun ahead.
This is the sound of a brand new outdoor grill.